Blue Lock cooked once again, as we finally get to see how the monster Hugo met the monster Loki, but to know more, you will have to wait, but trust me, there is a ton more stuff, so get ready. So we start off this chapter by going back all the way to 2 years ago, as we see the French U18 training area, where we see some players alongside Hugo sitting on the field. Hugo tells them that if they were to slip behind their defense at a speed of 20 miles per hour, then with a pass speed of at least 27 feet per second, they could go like this, and this, and this. Just to clarify, he is showing the players what he means with a whiteboard, not just talking telepathically. After that, he looks right at them and asks them if they understand. We then see someone who we can guess to be Gabin, but he says that it's impossible and that there's no way. He scratches his face and asks Hugo if he always thinks this hard about soccer while playing. We then see yet another no-name who asks if this is calculation or intuition, telling Hugo that he is completely nuts. Hugo is just super surprised as he asks if this isn't normal for everyone, but Gabin just laughs and tells him that there's no way, and the other guy tells Hugo that he is out there, telling him to go through it once again because his slow brain couldn't keep up with the goat. After that, Hugo starts to look extremely sad as he finally realizes that he is surrounded by a bunch of mediocre players who couldn't see his vision. The text then says, "Vivian, Hugo is destined. He's seeking what would make him suitable to win the World Cup 4 times. He then looks into his blank book and thinks that first an environment, then a coach and then a team, lastly, a trustworthy relationship where he can thrive as second best. However, it didn't stop there, as he then explains that after that, he just needs a world-class striker, and he then looks at Noah as he thinks that. Hugo explains that Noah is almost 30. Even if they won the World Cup for France, they could only do it once or twice. With that in mind, he knows very well that he needs a new number 1. Vivian Hugo then proceeds undaunted. He still needs to refine the people he needs to achieve his dream. Hugo then tells someone that they are half a second too slow, telling him that he can't become the world's best like that, and asking him if he understands. The player, for some reason, freaks out as he takes Hugo by his shirt and tells him that he isn't his tool and that he doesn't give a damn about his ideals, screaming at Hugo that he is the striker here. Calling him an arrogant and manipulative person, Hugo just keeps on looking right at him as he straight up tells this striker that he is sorry for overestimating him. He is, after all, a disposable middle-grade striker who's more suitable for being around 130th in the world. This is super cold to say, but it does make the player snap a bit as he seems to get furious, as he starts to get ready to punch Hugo right in his face. While that is going on, the text says that Hugo learns that the creatures known as strikers are absolute egotists. But luckily, before this no-name loser can actually punch Hugo, we see Loki, who becomes his knight in shining armor as he slaps away the guy's hand and tells him that he just lacks the talent. That's all. Both that striker and Hugo start to look confused. Meanwhile, Loki just has a big smile on his face as he calls out to the coach and asks him if they could change out all these people. And with that, Hugo has just encountered an unknown life form. After that, we see Loki by the coach. The coach tells everyone that their new player is advancing from a lower level to join this team, and tells them all that this is Loki. Loki bows to everyone and starts to apologize for his actions earlier. He then looks up and tells them all that while he is alive, he is going to win the World Cup a few times, telling them to please leave if they can't keep up and ending it by telling them to have fun. Everyone just looks at him, completely lost, as they can't understand what is wrong with him. But Hugo, on the other hand, starts to get super fired up as his gears start to spin uncontrollably, as he wonders just who this guy is, with the arrogance, the gallantry, and the absurdity. He looks right at Loki and thinks that this organism is a born number 1. After that, we see just the two of them sitting on the pitch after leaving the no-names. Loki explains that this world sure is cruel, saying that the talentless can never beat the talented, but their free society brutally spurs them on to try anyway. That's the harsh rule of the world. Hugo agrees with him as he tells Loki that, at the end of the day, the talented and talentless can never really understand each other. We then see Hugo kind of being in his own world as he's balancing the ball on his head, as he explains that all he wants to do is win the World Cup 4 times. Loki just looks at him before getting super shocked. He tells him that it's so fire, telling him that he can already tell how serious he is about that. Hugo tells him that he is super locked in on that, and Loki can't help but laugh a ton as he tells Hugo that he has never met anyone with a dream as adorably tyrannical as mine, and the two of them just look at each other then. And Loki can be seen smiling, while Hugo is just his regular stone face. But anyway, with that, we see that the match has restarted and Hugo has the ball. We then see Isagi, who is right in front of him, who looks pretty surprised. He thinks that Loki is moving back and Hugo's going forward. We then see Leiden, who goes on Hugo's side and asks him if they are doing that. We also have Camus, who says cross breeze, which is probably the name of what they are about to do. But with that we move back to Isagi, who thinks that both wings are closing in on the middle, and he wonders what in the world this unique playstyle even is. Also, just a side note, but this panel is fantastic. We then move on as we see Hugo starting to look super cold as he does some sort of robot sounds before saying that he has found a shortcut. With that, we then see the most insane thing, as it looks like bro is starting to teleport across the field. Like, I don't know whether I'm just high or what this even is. Anyway, under that, we have Rio, who thinks that the other pass courses were just decoys and that Hugo's going on his own. Karasu, however, tells them that he is sure that there's still a pass coming and to keep an eye on the wings. We then head to Kunigami, who thinks that all he's got to do is crush the guy calling the shots, which, to be fair, isn't wrong. Kunigami then goes into a straight-up duel between Hugo and him, but Hugo manages to keep the ball steadily away from him. Hugo then tells them that it's destined, and Loki, who comes from behind him, looks super sick as he tells Hugo that preparations are now completed. We then see Kunigami starting to freak out as he thinks that Loki came all the way from behind, wondering if this is what they were after and that they got them clustered in the midfield so these two could strike from behind. We then see Hugo saying zoom and zoom. Loki does as he runs straight up on the field extremely fast, right to the ball that Hugo has sent over to him. We then see that this attack of theirs is called warp synchronicity. But still, it's far from over, as we have Aiku on the side. Aiku thinks that he can still make it, saying that he just needs to tackle him, even if it means getting a foul. But suddenly Loki starts to run even faster, and Aiku wonders how that's even possible as he is speeding up without looking at the pass. But we then head back to Hugo, who thinks that running at 23 miles per hour with a backspin pass at 28 feet per second, that's the suitability to be the world's best. The text then tells us that Hugo knows the combination of his talent with Loki's is the sort of rarity that comes once every 50 years. We then head to Gagamaru, who is keeping a steady watch at this. He thinks that it's a pinpoint pass to a spot nobody could reach even if they saw it, as Loki runs in tandem at his maximum speed for a joint finisher. But if that wasn't bad enough, then we also see that Loki straight up decides to get Predator eyes out right now, which is sick. We then go back to Gagamaru, who says that the best and second best know what they're doing, but still can't stop them, explaining that this is the pure violence of talent. And after that, we do see Gagamaru trying his best to save the shot, but it's too late as Loki just buries it right into the net. With that, we know that Hugo's dreams of changing soccer history and creating a legend are just happening. With that, France is now leading with 1 goal, and Loki screams out with all that he possibly can. Meanwhile, Isagi is looking at them, and he seems to be pretty jealous. Meanwhile, Hugo just takes one glance at this and calls it good, nothing more or less. Anyway, the next chapter will be called Coal Pipe, if I have understood it right. Now, I'm not sure whether I have just failed school and have to redo it. However, I have no idea at all what this could even begin to entail. It's like they are going on a quick side mission and going into a cave real quick and getting some coal. But if you have any better guesses, which is pretty much anything, then don't hesitate to leave them down below. While on that topic, there is no break next week, which I mean is just crazy and awesome. However, I do slightly feel concerned about the authors, as they haven't taken a break in what feels like forever. But yeah, we can just wish that they are doing well. Because if they are able to week after week create awesome panels like this, then I guess that they are well. And to be honest, it would be hard to go on a break week after this because this chapter was just straight up awesome. So let's head and talk about it. Now, no joke, I don't have any idea where to start from, but I'm guessing that the beginning is a good waypoint. Now this doesn't even really have any true impact, but I just had to say that Hugo with his hair up like this is a big W. Now I do actually feel somewhat bad for Hugo, as while a lot of people don't seem to like him currently, as he is talking way too much. Which is a fair argument, as there isn't a single chapter where he doesn't take up half the lines out of everyone. However, when you have a special vision, or let's say plan, which you have envisioned in your mind, and when talking to others, and they can't seem to grasp that, it makes you feel pretty down, which we can clearly see on Hugo here, as he probably thought about why he was placed in this team with absolutely garbage people who can't just keep up with him. I also kind of like how he thought that he probably could win the World Cup around 1 or 2 times together with Noah, but that he would ultimately have to throw him away later, as he was getting too old. I don't know why, but I just like how Hugo is firstly so cold, but also so set and determined on his goals. Like it doesn't seem like he has ever gone astray from this goal, and that it has always been at the peak of his mind. Isagi is also thinking about his goal of becoming the #1 striker all of the time. However, for him, we have at least seen himself like doubting himself and double thinking it. And if it truly is the way to go, meanwhile for Hugo, he doesn't seem to even have a plan B. He knows that this is the best for his aptitude, and that this is what he is meant for. We also just have to quickly cover this useless striker as well. Now I get why some people might be mad at what Hugo told him. However, I actually don't think that what Hugo said at the start was anything bad. He told the striker that he was too slow, and told him that he couldn't become the best in the world like that. Now when he asked if the other guy understand, it does sound like it's in a bit of a demanding tone. But even then, like they are all in the same football team, they are all trying their best to really go pro and to make it. So if I was in that position and got good critique on what I did, was wrong, and how I can improve it, then it's just awesome. Personally, I don't get why the other player had such an insane crash out at Hugo. Now Hugo did only tell him that for his own gain, as he is looking for the best striker. So for him, it's still a selfish reason. However, yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I can wish I had someone like Hugo around. Someone who knew everyone's aptitude and what they are meant for, as that's a much faster way to improve and better yourself then. Also, I just had to add on how insanely cool it was for Hugo to then tell the striker straight up that he had overestimated him like bro. I was jumping up and down my seat as he said that, because Hugo really meant business. Now I am super happy for both Loki and Hugo as they found each other here. Now what they say might be taken as a bit harsh, talking about some people not being blessed by talent and therefore not going to make it. But do they have a point? Well, yeah, of course they do. I feel like saying something other than that is just leading the blind. Also, I don't know if I am the only one. However, each time that Hugo gets out his metavision eyes, they are just sick. I'm pretty sure that he is the third one to have like a special metavision design, as firstly we have Isagi, and then I'm pretty sure that Charles has it. But Hugo's is just on another level. I always imagine the gears starting to spin around as I see it. But I guess that it's just Hugo for you, always being a bit extra, but at the same time always being super cool. Next up, we have to talk about this because Hugo isn't even playing around anymore, as he is straight up using teleportation mid-battle. Of course that's not fully true, as they don't have superpowers, but just look at this insane panel. Like, it really does look like he is coming out of some sort of teleport and then just appearing again. But now that I look more closely at it, you can see that it's just like gear wheels, the same ones that he has in his eyes. I was fully convinced that it was some sort of teleport-looking thing, but I guess that I am in desperate need of glasses. Next up, Loki having predator eyes. I actually haven't seen what most people's reaction to this is, since it feels like no one is talking about it. However, I don't think that it's such a shock. If it was between metavision or predator eyes for Loki, then I saw him getting predator eyes first. At the very least, it just fits his overall character way better, and it makes him so much more powerful, because now he isn't just the fastest player in the whole world, but he also has got predator eyes, which makes it so that his shots just become like 10 times crazier. But yeah, my personal opinion is that I enjoy it, and that I think that it's cool. But then again, I think that most things from this series is pretty dope. Anyway, I feel like that's where we will leave it off for today, but still, I must say that this was a pretty solid chapter. My favorite part is probably either the panel where Hugo is teleporting, or when he is balancing the ball on his head, as that just looks fun. But my overall rating will have to be around like a 6 to a 7. And no, I'm not doing that just because. Anyway, let me know your rating down below, and also what your favorite part of this chapter was. Anyway, if you like Blue Lock and videos like this, then I would highly suggest you subscribe to this channel, and while you are at it, leave a comment and a like. Also, if you can, hype the video down below, as it helps out with the algorithm a ton. And if you are curious to see another video of mine, then please watch the video that will be popping up on the screen now. Anyway, thanks for watching, and have a great day. Bye.